I know that in most incarnations of the Joker, when he is given an origin story, it's a single traumatic moment that causes him to be insane. And I was just wondering, can a psychopath be created by a single traumatic experience, or is it actually something you're born with?
Okay, again, insane and psychopath.
Okay.
Different issue.
But can a psychopath be created by a single
Psychopaths are
traumatic?
blown, and it's over the course of their entire lifetime it's built, and you have many specific events that contribute to shaping. Is there one event that makes you, an extrovert? It's something as simple as that, much less something as complex as a psychopath.
Actually, let me expand on that. They've done family studies, twin studies, adoption studies, and as far as we can tell as of now, you need to have a genetic vulnerability towards psychopathy. There's certain traits that tend to run in families, but just having the genes isn't enough. You have to have a certain environmental upbringing of neglect, abuse on top of the genes. So there's falling into a vat of acid as an adult wouldn't actually make someone a psychopath, as far as we can tell. If they had not been psychopathically inclined prior to that, they wouldn't become one.
I would advise it.
Very bad. And keeping your hands up during the questions in people's faces.
With respect to Steve, when he was saying that he felt that he was insane, trying to copyright a live creature, which has now happened. So, I mean, in a way, the Joker could be interpreted as like the Dick Cheney of the 1930s.
Psychologist I know make a remark that exactly how does trying to copyright fish make him insane? Maybe that just means he misunderstands copyright.
Or worse, he's a lawyer.
I did a little backstory in my head for Joker. And I reasoned, the insanity, whether you call it psychopathic quality, I reasoned that he was kidnapped by a perverted clown when he was a youngster. That would do it.
Only if we have the genes for it. Only if we have the genetic vulnerability.
There's women backstories for Batman too, I won't
My question had to do with an idea that was presented by Grant Morrison in Arkham Asylum, the series House on Series there, and kind of by Paul Dini in the animated series, that the Joker kind of reinvents himself with every new day, and how that kind of reflects his portrayal in the films by Zach Nicholson and Keith Wedzer, and how that kind
Cesar
of
Romero, that would
and Cesar Romero.
gives continuity across all of them.
how it's kind of ironically consistent, because in the comics he could be just kind of a trickster clown one day and a murderous psychopath the next. And I just want to get your take on that.
Sure, in the comics, you're correct. They do treat it as the trickster clown of one era is still the same. And they just say Joker stopped killing people for a while, and then he started killing again. Now, they are treating it as continuity of character over time. Michael referred to the order versus chaos. Adam, you said something about that the other day. In your area, it was a battle of order and chaos, and there is continuity of this character. Whether he's killing people or not, there are other essential qualities defining what is the Joker. Anyone want to elaborate?
I'll elaborate a little bit. Being a fan of Batman and a comic book historian over the decades, the interpretation of both the Joker and Batman over the decades has been radically different just in the comic books alone. He's gone from the Crown Prince of crime and a funnier, lighter Batman to a darker Batman and to a homicidal maniac to a psychopath. And the same thing is true for each of the characters. And it really depends when your period of time was that you were reading Batman comics or watching the cartoons. or watching the movies, that is what really defines for you as an individual who your true Batman is and who your true Joker is. And it can run the spectrum, and it's going to be different for different people. But just as with the Joker, you can't peg which is his true origin and which is the true Joker. As a fan, as a lover of the material, you also can't peg it. It's up to you as an individual to tell us and to decide which is the true Batman, which is the true Joker.
Actually, if I could just thinking detail on that, human beings are kind of wired to like order and predictability, so we impose patterns onto chaos. And what makes Joker so terrifying is that he's unpredictable. That different days he's sort of manifests different personality traits, and we never know what's coming. Batman, the sort of flip side is he's incredibly predictable, which is used against him. We can know in advance or predict with very high likelihood what he'll do, and criminals know this, and they sort of use that. And so that is what makes the Joker so terrifying, is he's incredibly unpredictable. And by not knowing his backstory, we don't know his motivation. We cannot make him predictable. We can't predict where he's going if we don't know where he's been.
So this also makes me think it would be great for some of these same people to have a discussion on the continuity of Batman and what's the essence that ties them together. But that's a panel for someone.
For next year, yes.
Over there. And then I know this young man's been 9S.
I'd like to ask the panelists is whether they think the Joker's association with Harley Quinn has been good or bad for his mental health.
Should the Joker date? Let's start with Jerry.
Well, one thing I want to add to, I think it is a tribute to maybe it's a bowl, to his longevity, is that we didn't define it. Therefore, generations of artists and writers have been able to reinterpret it. That's not true of very many characters to do that. And I think it's because we didn't define him accurately in the beginning. And I think the visual has carried, the only thing that's been the thread that carried the Joker through. And why is that? I am trying to ponder that myself. I think one element of it, which you didn't touch on, was the fact that he's a clown. Look, he looks like a clown. And a clown evokes enormous emotional reaction. You should know that.
Like
But
John
there's
Casey
there's
did.
a phobia about fear of clowns.
It's
all
true.
a phobia.
Yeah.
Phobia. And it's very much more common than most people think. There's a lot of children, but also adults. But even if you don't have a phobia, if you look at a clown, you immediately have some sort of a visual reaction. And that's happened throughout history. And I think that that clown image had a great deal to the longevity of it. And I wish I knew I did that purposely. It was a lucky association. The other thing I just want to remark on about the competition, we were in competition with Superman. It was the same publisher. Jerry and Joe were very dear friends of mine, but we competed professionally. And our thought was, from the beginning, from Bill and Bob's initial concept, that he wouldn't be a superhero. He didn't have superpowers, where obviously Superman did. And we always thought that Superman's greatest Achilles heel was his invulnerability. And they had to invent things to make him vulnerable, krypton and so forth, kryptonite. And so that was our competition, and so that held over to the concept of Robin. When I was thought of the name, I wanted one that definitely wasn't given the illusion of being a super character, as most of the sidekicks were, to keep him more human. And we thought then that Superman, our concept was much better, and Superman would never last. That's how much we knew.
Well, your thoughts about the character's longevity and how there's a certain amount of room for reinvention despite continuity of character. It applies to what he was asking about. a cartoon introduced Harley Quinn, as we got at least one Harley in the room, as a girlfriend of sorts for the Joker. And would you have ever envisioned the Joker having, you know, a girlfriend?
I would.
Anyone else have thoughts on Harley?
Now, I'm less concerned or worried or terrified about what the Joker can do with a woman as opposed to what the Joker can do with a pencil.
Yes.
Can you address that about the Cesar Romero version and the girlfriend? I'm sorry, I just
About the pencil? I don't think Caesar had a girlfriend.
We're not talking about real
But you know, I think that Batman, generally, is a little island in time, spinning around forever. And it can take so many different levels and forms that one could do anything with it. And Joker could have, he could have the mansion in Hefner's place and his own children. Of course he could have a girlfriend. It might be very interesting. You know, Batman is I hate to use a common word like this, Batman's as crazy as Joker. You guys know that. He's fighting crime 24/7 in a funny suit.
That's the man who wore the suit.
Yes, he can have a girlfriend.
Okay. Yes.
You see?
So I was wondering if between Joker and Batman, if well, you know, it always says like Batman hates the Joker and stuff. But I was wondering if there's sort of like love, like
Okay.
for each other and challenge of having
Do they need each other?
Yes.
Do they need each other? Does Batman and Martin love the Joker? Guys?
Well, I think Batman needs the Joker, but more than the Joker needs the Batman.
Interesting.
I have one little anecdote that maybe Adam doesn't know. I preceded meeting Cesar Romero by a couple of decades. In 1941, they made, 40 or 41, they made the first serial of Batman.
It came out in 42.
42. Well, they were shooting 41. And I flew out. We also had our editor, Eastern Comics, knew Edward Dimitri, who was a great filmmaker, thinking on camera. He was also one of the Hollywood Tenants. Views. So I met, arranged a meeting with Dimitri and introduced me to all the studios. And I met with the writers who were then writing the Batman serial. And I think it was 12 chapters. And this was in 41. Then the war came along. And they were in the middle of an episode, something about a gold mine out west, as I recall. I sat in on the storyboard with the writers of that serial. And I thought, my God, if only Bill was here, because not Bill Finger, we could do this whole 12 episodes. They just didn't know how to get guys out of traps. and this is for the suspense, chapter to chapter. Anyway, I visited a lot of studios and was introduced to a lot of people on that trip. And for, I guess I was 19 or 20 at the time. It was very heady experience. And one day they introduced me to Cesar Romero. And this was long before the Batman series, television. And I wish I immediately thought that he would be a good Joker, like Michael thought that would be a good Joker, but I didn't. But I met him, and he was a very personable guy. And the only thing unique about the meeting was we were having a drink, and he said, and we engrossed in some conversation, and he was intrigued when I was a cartoonist and talking about the comic. And he said, yeah, come on with me, I got it out from him. I didn't know what was up, but he took me to Ninja. And we continued the conversation. I had the rare privilege of considering the conversation in the joint stall. Adam, you can't cut that.
Closing comments, parting thoughts, or whatever it is Jerry's going to Which end of the table wants to start? Adam or Ross?
Sorry, all right. I'd love to start. Two points I'd love to make. Number one, comic books and superheroes are our modern day mythology. It is contemporary American folklore. And in the context of Batman and the Joker, this is part of the endless battle we've been reading about that has been passed down from generation to generation in oral tradition as well as written tradition of heroes versus monsters, heroes versus demons and dragons. And when I say heroes these days, I mean both male and female. And so it continues. The ancient gods of Greece, Rome, and Egypt still exist, only today they all wear spandex and capes. And it is the eternal struggle between good and evil, or order and chaos, that will keep a primal story with such great characters going on endlessly, where everyone around the world, irrespective of culture or boundary or age or demographic or gender, can really just sit back and enjoy story after story of Batman and the Joker. My one closing remark, as a personal note, and with apologies to any kids that are here today, I am now about to let the 13-year-old Michael out for a moment, because Mr. West may have been in awe of this panel, but I am sitting next to the Batman of the Super 60s, and there's something I gotta say. This is my fantasy about to come true. 13-year-old Michael, take it away. Holy shit!
Yes, I'm a senior superhero. That's that.
All right, and I'm very sorry, but I'm going to have to call it. I do have one closing saying about Cesar Romero and sleep. A friend of mine in grad school, sister, was an actress. She had lunch with Cesar Romero. And she asked him, how do I get ahead in Hollywood? And he said, sweetie, sleep with everyone. Thank you all very much. We'll be back here in 10 minutes with Batman becoming Batman.